Hey everybody, Enris over here, just hanging out in my new meditation room on board my freighter, and after building that Tenseihan Void Terraformer, God knows I needed it, I lost track of how many times I got pulled out of caves and ripped out of prefabs by tornadoes. Doing it in survival made it especially gnarly, so I could use the downtime. But here is going to be the build journal for that base. This time I decided to break it up into installments. Today we're going to go over the making of Minireactor 1 and 2, as well as starting to get my piping set up. So I hope y'all enjoy, and as always, if you like it, feel free to subscribe, press the like button, and drop a comment. Talk to y'all later. I decided to start with the underground mini reactors first. I wanted each reactor to have a central piece made through the use of a build camera exploit. The first one I built had a BCE construct made out of the locked crate. I used this same setup later in the second underground area, but with a tweak that I really liked the look of, so I'll cover the construction of that piece later in the journal. For the next mini reactor, my original thought was to do a bed BCE construct. I still wanted to do the compound bulb base, so I started by glitching a battery downward into the ground. I quickly realized I didn't have enough condensed carbon. From playing around with this specific construct on my R&D base, I knew I needed 60 beds to make a complete circle, which equates to 600 condensed carbon. Time to go mining. Once the mining was done, a storm had rolled in. Have I mentioned yet how much I hate the storms on this planet? So I hauled ass back underground to refine the carbon and save. Now that I had the requisite resources, back to building. Now when I say BCE construct, I mean a piece that's been built through use of the build camera exploit. If you are not familiar with the build camera exploit, well then you need to go see my friend Pez's channel. It's being linked on the screen right now. He's got a phenomenal tutorial about how to do this, as well as how to build some pretty sweet looking stuff with it. Once I got the cursor centered on the battery base and started building beds, something happened I didn't expect. Every time I'd played with this construct at my R&D base, it was level and above ground. Now I was actually placing it underground, and as I rotated around, the bed started riding up on the uneven ground. You can see by how my camera lifts up a hair with each piece built. So I figured I'd build it out, place the interior pieces, and see how it looked. For the interior and all the underground mini reactors, I decided to use the work lights from the derelict freighters. These give some light, but the reason I like using them is that their light comes with its own fog, which has a really awesome look underground. And I am not happy with that look, so back to the drawing board. So since I was having problems with the uneven ground, why not drop a floor panel to build on? Once the reactor was built, nobody'd be able to see it anyway. I get the battery placed correctly, and then I start making my bed BCE construct. Wouldn't you know it, we've still got kick. So I jump out of the build camera and take a look at it from several different directions. Yep, still looks stupid. So, obviously, The panel just wasn't high enough off the ground. Let's make it higher and try again.
Look at that. Still with the freaking kick. Come on. So I decided to try and raise the panel even higher, along with several other workarounds, but the bed BCE always ended up giving me a slight kick with each piece placement. So since the bed obviously wouldn't work, I needed a different piece to do a BCE construct with for this reactor. I settled on the octo cabinet because I thought it'd look best with the compound bulb base.
And you know what? I was right. That looks pretty sweet. It's gonna look even better with those compound bulbs coming out of it too. So after I put some light on the subject, I figure it's time to get the piping coming out of the top of the reactor. I use paver to cylinder adjacency to punch a cylinder down into the top of the reactor. The second I finished doing this, of course, I realized that curved pipes look better, in my opinion, when they are merged halfway into the cylinder. In order to do this, I need to have a wire in the middle of the cylinder to glitch onto, though. Fortunately, I'm able to delete the inset cylinder without the whole BCE construct cascading. Now I decide to run the pipes over from the first reactor so I can better visualize where the curved pipe needs to end. First, though, I center a tiny wire fragment in between the last curved pipe and the first straight pipe. Why, you ask? Why spoil the fun? I'll show you shortly. But for now, I need to get the orientation correct on the wire I'm going to glitch my curved pipe onto. Now, I'm going to digress here for a minute. The curved pipe, just like the straight pipe, glitches in parallel and away. However, since its terminal end also has direction, unlike the straight pipe, we also have to add that it glitches in with the grain. Now I know what you're thinking. Parallel and away to what? Against the grain? Are we playing No Man's Sky or doing woodworking? These are descriptors I've started using when thinking about connection point behavior. It began on the Nursery of Souls build. I noticed that each stabilized glitch behaved slightly differently on a connection point, so I started working on ways to describe their behavior that would make sense in my head. Since then, I have expanded it to cover all the build items and should have a tutorial coming out soon. Parallel refers to the piece's orientation to the actual connection point. Away refers to the direction the piece goes from the connection point. With the grain means that the terminal end of the curved pipe will be facing the same direction as the zag in the lightning bolt. Now that the shameless self-promotion's out of the way, for now, let's check out how many times I screw up before I finally come up with a very easy way to ensure pipes match up. Oh, the litany of ways I tried to find the look I wanted on this reactor is almost endless. I spent an entire morning playing around with designs just for this reactor and piping.
I finally figured out that I could center a wire directly on top of the octa cabinet and then use that wire to glitch the curved pipes so they came in merged with the cylinder that I could then merge into the octa cabinet. Now, when you're glitching on a connection point that has different polarities, like the one in the middle here, you're going to need to pay attention to the orientation of the lightning bolt in the middle of the connection point. And whichever way it's facing when you glitch the first piece in, you need to make sure it's facing the other way when you glitch the second piece in. You can change this by moving your cursor around just a little bit on the connection point. As you slide it around on the connection point, the lightning bolt should rotate. Now that I've seen those pipes come in the correct orientation, I delete them and adjacency glitch the cylinder back down into the reactor, and then I can glitch those pipes back in and have them merged with the cylinder. So after I glitch those pipes in, I continue building the piping, and about 45 minutes after this point, my game crashed and I lost all my recording. So I'm sorry, but we're going to have to jump ahead here. There isn't anything I did that I won't cover further in the tutorial though, so don't worry, you're not missing anything. All you're missing is me babbling. So here I want to show you how I managed to get my piping to line up just right, since I've got it coming from all directions here. So what you do is you take a curved pipe, have it sitting facing up like that, then you take another curved pipe, and if you hold down R1 and L1 on the PS5 anyway, it frees the piece from the snap points. And so at that point, you're able to simply put it on top of the other one, rotate it around to face however you want it, and then hit the place button, R2 on the PlayStation, before you release the R1 and L1 triggers. Now, I knew I was going to have just long runs of piping simply because of the distances involved here, and that can get boring after a while, so I wanted to think of ways to break it up, make it look a bit more interesting. So if you'll pay attention to the connection points inside the pipes here, you'll notice they're either 2 points horizontally, which is a wire, or 1 point vertically, which is a pill light. Neither one of these have any collision with the pipes, so I can put them in and then snap the pipe back in place. If I wire up the pill lights, they give the pipes a bit of a glow. Now, the wires I'm using to glitch compound bulbs onto. Now, compound bulbs glitch in perpendicular in a way, and they're pretty much the same on all sides, so the orientation doesn't really matter. Doesn't have to be a horizontal wire for some reason. That just makes more sense to me. So you can put the wire in however you want. You just want to make sure you're glitching on the connection point that's in the center of the pipe, not on the connection point that's on the outside of the pipe. Now, when compound bulbs are glitched in this way, the tip of them stretches for 2 pipes beyond their glitch point. Now, most places I do have reciprocal bulbs. This is one of the few spots where I couldn't do it. I didn't have the room. Don't have 4 pipes in a row. So I put just the one bulb in, make up for it with a pill light. Really what I wanted was there to be something happening every couple pipes. I didn't want there to be long stretches of there just nothing. That's monotonous and boring. Nobody wants that. Now, I just realized I've been calling these things I've been glitching into the pipes compound bulbs. They're not. They are void husks. So, now that we've got void husks and pill lights interspersed through the piping to make it look less monotonous and cookie cutter. However, with the lengths of piping I was going to have to run, even those visuals would start to get monotonous. So I needed an additional installation to help break things up even further. Now, about a month earlier, I was messing around with my friend Pezes at a different build, and he showed me this. Some cylinders that had lamps placed on top, and then a pipe punched through them. I like this look, but it required the use of pipe to paver adjacency, so you could only do it on an account that didn't have any build pieces unlocked between the pipe and the paver.
Since this was a newish save, I was able to tweak my unlocked build pieces accordingly. I kept the reciprocal void husk look, but in the middle put the cylinder with a lamp on each end and pipes running into and out of it. This installation required a bit more space, a stretch of at least 6 pipes. But in looking over the final build, I'm happy with how my mixing up these different yet similar installations resulted in a network of piping that was rather eye-catching and not monotonous at all. Now, I also shrank down the lab lamps a little bit. I wanted them to fit nice and roundly on the end of these cylinders, but also if I left them full size, then I wouldn't be able to green state the paver back in and adjacency to the pipe. So they had to be sized down just a little bit. Now here I want to point out something I've been doing all along and just haven't had a chance to mention yet. All the wires that I'm placing inside the pipes that I'm glitching the compound bulbs off of are assigned to my scaffolding comp. I make that switch right before I place the wire. This is to save on piece count, so that when I delete my scaffolding base comp, all the wires that I use to glitch in the compound bulbs are going to go away and not add to my final piece count. So I go ahead and glitch void husks in all along the piping. Looks pretty good to me. I think this is where we'll stop for this episode. I appreciate y'all watching, and if you have any questions, post in the comments. I'll answer them as best I can, and check back in a couple days for another episode in the building of the Tenseihan Void Terraformer. Thank you so much for watching.